Welcome to the next side series episode here in Kourna. This episode we're going to be looking at getting the 5 avatar skills, the unique skills that you can earn as a dervish that let you commune with the gods, and they change your appearance completely and the way you play the game. And to get these skills, remember the garrisons we've been hiding from, these garrisons that are these military bases stationed all around Kourna. We have to go to all 5 of them, and if you go to them after you finish the quests near them and the missions near them and stuff, if you go back to them you can find that there are these acolytes, these bosses, and there's an acolyte for each boss, for each god. So basically you've got the acolyte of Lyssa, the acolyte of Melandru, the acolyte of Kourna, and so on and so on. If you can storm the garrisons and kill these acolytes, you can see here I'm buying some signets of capture. When they're dead you can capture specific skills, these skills, avatar skills, which, as I say, let the dervish commune with the god. I mean, each profession in this game, they're all based on a specific concept, right? And the dervish is very much based on the concept of following all of the gods and so on. So I did these in no particular order, so here I am just going to the Yolan Haven, and it turns out that the first avatar that I got was the avatar of Melandru, so we'll see that first. But yeah, this episode is going to be very much about the gods, and it's kind of long, and I figured I could take this time to talk to you guys about the gods, sort of do a bit of a crash course on them, because I'm aware that in factions and so far in Nightfall in these Let's Plays I haven't really talked about the gods very much, and Nightfall in particular is a game that's very much about the gods. And you know, aside from prophecies, even then I was quite vague about them, so this is specifically gonna go over the details of each god. After we capture each avatar, I'll spend a little while talking about that god, so should be pretty good. So here we've just got to follow the path, go up to the garrison. You can see it off there in the distance, and these garrisons, I wasn't expecting it to be too hard, but it's very easy to over aggro when you're not playing with a compass. And yeah, I wiped a couple of times in a few of these garrisons. So, as you can probably hear, I'm doing the commentary for this one afterwards, and that's because I really didn't want to waffle on and go over the same stuff all the time. So, to organise my thoughts, I thought it would be much easier to do the commentary afterwards, and pull a little bit of help from Wiki. So about the gods. Wiki basically says, I've kind of altered what it says here, but basically it says, the gods of Tyria are the most commonly worshipped deities by the humans. They are the beings who, in the religion of humans and other advanced races, are credited with the creation of the world and giving magic to them. One of their titles, the Old Gods, is given because they left the world over 1,000 years ago, in an event known as the Exodus. Though they still watch over Tyria, granting blessings and appearing as avatars, they no longer live here or walk with the mortals. Because of this, people today cannot be sure what they actually look like, and it's common to see variations in the way they are depicted over the continents. And what you're going to see here is when we use these avatar skills, I said that our appearance will change. I don't think by a long shot you're meant to look exactly like what that god's meant to be when you're in this avatar form. You just kind of look like how the Elonians imagine that god to look like. I think that's how it kind of works. I'll talk more about that when we get to Lyssa, because it's quite easy to explain there. But yeah, right now you can see I'm trying to assault the garrison. I can't remember if I actually wiped on this first garrison or not. But here we go. You can actually see the acolyte of Melandru there, and you can see he looks all crazy. He doesn't look like a normal Kourna at all. Actually, it looks like a kind of an alien plant thing, which is pretty crazy. And that's what we're going to look like when we use the skill. So just look at all that damage. Seriously, look at all that damage. But yeah, I mean, nobody actually knows what these gods look like. And that kind of gives off the impression, I think, to a lot of people in Tyria that the gods are omnipresent and that they're omniscient and they sort of know everything and they can be everywhere. That's not true. As we've gone through, we've kind of learned about all sorts of things. The gods making mistakes here and there, gods being angry and so on. So I think while the majority of humans believe that the gods are these kind of all-powerful, all-knowing entities, they're really not like that. I mean, a big thing is, as I said just now, the humans on Tyria, in their religion, they believe that the gods created the world. But when we went through prophecies, we actually learnt some of the humans were saying that the truth is that the gods actually just came to Tyria. They didn't actually create it, they just found Tyria. Oh, okay, well, here we go. This is me using the signet of capture. There we go, we've now captured the skill, which is pretty good. So what happens now is I will show you. When we activate the skill, it only takes a second or two to activate, and this never used to happen, but now you can permanently maintain these things. When you use it, you transform, and basically you can read the effect if you want. I don't like to go into skill mechanics and stuff too much, But basically what happens now is it just changes the way we play. We get all these different buffs and things happen when we lose enchantments and stuff. So you can see here I'm dancing, and this isn't the usual dervish dance. What actually happens in this game, if you don't know, is depending on your gender and your profession, your dance changes completely. And what actually happens when you use an avatar skill is it changes what dance your character usually does. So I'm a male dervish and I usually have a very specific dance, but now that I am in the form of Melandru, I get I believe it's the female ranger dance, and of course Melandru is the patron goddess of rangers, so it's pretty cool the way that they do that. And every time I capture a new one of these skills, I'll actually show you guys a different one of these dances, which is pretty good. But yeah, as I was saying before about the gods merely shaping the world, they didn't actually create Tyria, they just shaped it to the way they want it to be, and that was back when they lived on the world. And there are even sayings that they actually they didn't create the humans either, they actually just brought the humans to Tyria from someplace else in the mist. So really I think the idea is that they could have just been very powerful at one time mortals that learned how to use the rift, and then they kind of came and shaped Tyria and made it what it is today. Maybe when they got to Tyria it was a complete waste, a complete dump. We know about all those big dead Gigantus, Lepidicus, or whatever they are, monsters, and obviously the elder dragons were asleep on the planet. Maybe they came over and brought life to it, but they definitely didn't actually create Tyria, which is pretty cool, I think. So there you go, that's a pretty good overview of the gods, if I do say so myself. I hope you get a good idea of what they're really about as a whole. So yeah, let's talk about Melandru. Basically, Melandru is one of the gods, and she's kind of the one credited with all the naturey stuff. You know, some people even think it was her that brought like all the plants and the trees and stuff. And obviously she's the patron god of rangers, along with like some dervishes. Obviously dervishes sort of revere all of the gods. So do elementalists to an extent. But definitely rangers and dervishes kind of really appreciate what Melandru is all about. I've actually got the Guild Wars Nightfall manuscripts and what they say about Melandru right here. And it says, Rangers and Earth Elementalists leave offering to Melandru, trusting to her guidance. Throughout Alona, roadside temples to the goddess offer shelter and water to weary travellers. Wandering dervishes maintain many of these shrines. With her blessings, the ground can slowly snare enemies. Wanderers can survive in the harshest of wilderness, and masters of magic can shake the very foundations of the world. Most statues of Melandru show her as a tall, winged dryad rising from a tree-shaped base. Many temples use magic to shape that shrine from a living tree. For example, Elonian sculptors often rise from the base of a mabiar or a rooted dreamflower. A dervish assuming the form of Melandru has an arboreal appearance, acting with the same resolve as a tree with roots deep in the earth. So there you go, that's Melandru, that's what she's all about, particularly here in Alona, obviously, because that was all mostly references to what goes on with her in Alona. But what's quite cool, I think, is that they mentioned that she's winged. And as I said, nobody really knows what the gods look like anymore, but there are these themes, these things that constantly pop up when the gods are talked about, and Melandru is always seen as being winged. And I said earlier that they could just be very, very powerful mortals that learn how to use the mist and traverse and stuff. Now, at this point in the story, we don't exactly know how something becomes a god. We know that a god can supposedly fall, because obviously this whole way through the storyline so far, we've been hearing about Abaddon and how he's a fallen god. But the idea is that these gods weren't necessarily all humans that just learnt how to use the rift. They could be races from anywhere, from any world, anywhere, at any point in time. And you'll see Melandru's not the only one that's winged, which is really quite cool, I think. Anyway, so here we are, we're at the next garrison. This garrison, you can see there, has the acolyte of Lyssa. Lyssa is personally my favourite god, mostly because I played as a Mesmer as my main in this game, and that's kind of who they revere. And as you can see, she just will not go down. She will not go down. I definitely wipe on this one. Look at how close she is to dying, but you can see that's what we're going to look like when we manage to capture the skill. Oh, and I forgot to mention earlier, what I'm actually going to do at the end of this episode is ask you guys which god you like the most, which avatar you like the most at least, and then that will be the avatar I use mostly throughout the rest of this Let's Play. So do be thinking about which god you prefer. Should be quite fun. So there we go, Lyssa is down. We can use the Signet of Capture to take that skill from her, and turn into her. Now Lyssa is so confusing and so difficult really to describe, and I think that fits her nature perfectly. So what I'm going to start off with describing her is I'm going to read some stuff from Wiki and then just try and expand on that myself. It's one of the reasons why I really like her though. So here we go, using the skill, and there we go, and you can see that we have many faces. You've got 4. It's actually kind of freaky when you're running around and you've got a face on the back of your head. But yeah, this is kind of the Alonian image of Lyssa. So yeah, get a nice close-up of them there. And when we're in this form, we get the female Mesmer animations, as you can see here with our dance. This is how female Mesmers dance. It's pretty cool. I've never really been a big fan of the Mesmer dances. My main was a male Mesmer, so like the dance for that is really bad in my opinion, but just got to kind of get used to it. So anyway, let's go to the next one. I can't remember which one I go to, but if I go to this one out here in the Jahai Bluffs. So Lyssa, right? Well, this is what the wiki has to say. She's quite a unique god. This is a concept, and obviously the Mesmer as well, I think, is quite a unique concept that you don't see in many other games, many other stories, and so on. So this is what the wiki has to say. Lyssa is the twin goddess of beauty and illusion. Twin goddess. She is the patron goddess of assassins and mesmers. She is also associated with energy, with chaos, and with the attributes of energy storage and mysticism, which are a dervish attribute and an elementalist one. She is greatly revered and celebrated in the Alonian region of Vabi. The festival of Lyss is an annual Vabian celebration held on the day of Lyss to honour the goddess Lyssa, patroness of Vabi. It is said that Lyssa shaped the land and modelled the Vabians in her own glorious image. The celebration is held in the beautiful garden of Sehorin. So I think in Vabi they don't call her Lyssa at all, they just call her Lyss, so like her name has even changed a little bit there. But yeah, the most interesting thing here really is she's always described as a twin goddess. Does that mean that she is literally twins? Well, no, because everyone always refers to her as a singularity. So she's just kind of these two things kind of moulded into one. And I suppose the idea of one of these things is beauty and the other thing is illusion. And she's all about chaos and all kinds of crazy stuff. Let's read the manuscripts. The patron goddess of mesmers wears many masks, appearing in myriad forms. Patrons of the arts effusively praise her, particularly in the court of wealthy Vabi, but some fear her as a temperamental goddess. Behind her beautiful facade, some say she maintains a deep communion with chaos. Displays of art and culture please her, but her wrath is terrible to behold. Her followers use her magic for illusion, trickery, and deception, twisting the magics of others to suit their own goals. By her whims, her enemies are brutalized by despair and hopelessness, while her beautiful followers are elevated to heights of rapture. Tyrian artists often portray Lyssa as two goddesses, twin figures of exquisite beauty entwined in an eternal dance. In Alona, the masks may change, and the dance may change, but Lyssa's dual nature does not. She is beautiful to some and terrifying to others. A dervish assuming the form of Lyssa wears many masks, channeling blessings for mayhem and magic. So what I really quite like about Lyssa is that she's so vague. This whole description is so vague. It's so difficult to wrap your head around what she's all about and what this whole twin thing is going on. And that's the whole point, really. She's just full of illusions. She's difficult to understand. You can't comprehend what is going on here, and you'd go mad if you tried. And that is the whole point of it. You know, I think everyone can read about Lyssa and learn what they can, and they would all come out with different impressions of what she's about. And that's just really the whole concept of her. I'm also going to read out the her scripture. Basically, through these games, if you weren't aware, you can go to various shrines of these gods and read out scripture. I'm not going to read out everyone's scripture, but I particularly like Lyssa's one. The scriptures are kind of written in like a really old English kind of fashion, because they're stories written from a long time ago, back when the gods still were on Tyria. So I'll quickly read this out. Oh, and also, as you can see there, I'm fighting Balthazar here, and then we'll start talking about Balthazar. So, and it was that a stranger came to the village of Grenth, seeking shelter and employment. Though young in years, her body was stooped and twisted, her flesh eaten by disease. "Ye have the mark of the plague upon ye," said the citizen Galric. "Leave this place, lest you sicken our people." "I've lost my family and my home," cried the desperate woman. "Have you no hearts?" Yet each person, in turn, did look away. Then from the crowd came a young woman, Sarah. She looked upon the woman with pity. "If you need help," said Sarah, "I will give it." And Sarah did approach the gnarled, bent woman, and did offer her a helping hand. Then the sickened woman pulled from her body the robes of plague, revealing herself to be the goddess Lyssa. The people of Grenth fell to their knees, begging for Lyssa's mercy. But lifting Sarah gently, saith she, "True beauty is measured not by appearance, but by actions and deeds. Many have eyes, but few have seen. Of all here you saw the beauty behind the illusion, and you alone shall be blessed with my gifts." And that was 45 years before the Exodus happened. I just love that line. Many have eyes, but few have seen. But here we go. As you saw there, I wiped trying to take out the acolyte of Balthazar, but I do manage to kill him this time. And there you go. I hope that's a nice little introduction to Lyssa. I mean, I'm trying not to go into it any more than that, because I'll just make my own head hurt. But there you go. That is Lyssa, the twin goddess. So here we go, taking out Balthazar just here. And there's his corpse using the signet of capture. So this is the third god. This is Balthazar. Balthazar is the god of war and of fire. He is the patron god of warriors mostly, and obviously fire elementalists, and a few other things. He is associated mostly with honour and valour, with griffins, wolves and hounds. He is greatly revered and celebrated by the Zaician Order in the Battle Isles. So this is what he looks like. As far as the forms go, I think the look of this form is probably my favourite. You can see you get the male warrior animations for all of your moves. I'm using the dance there to show that off. And yeah, he's just a pretty cool guy. I'm also going to read the scriptures for him, because I think that kind of shows what he's about. He's kind of, you see this kind of god quite a lot. He's your typical war god. He's your typical I do all of the fighting god. Now, to get to the next god that I'm going, the next acolyte, it's not too far. So what I'm actually doing here is, do you remember ages ago where I showed you the garrison that we just took out, and I showed you that there was a djinn in the back of it with a hidden treasure, and I said that there was more treasure down here. That's what I'm showing you guys here. So just to give me more time to talk about Balthazar, really, and to get the treasure. So yeah, this is the description from the Nightfall manuscript of Balthazar. He's your typical war guy mostly. Here we go. Worshipped by warriors and fire elementalists, the Lord of War watches over the battlefields and arenas of the world. Monks who practice protection and smiting disciplines speak his name with reverence. Balthazar gives strength to soldiers marching into battle and any adventurers who's ready for a fight. He guides the sharpened edge of a sword or axe so that it cuts deeply. Many insist that he watches over the battlegrounds of the world to see who glorifies his name. In arenas protected by his priests, followers demonstrate their prowess in battle to earn his favour. Statues of Balthazar show him holding a greatsword, sometimes with a pair of faithful hounds sitting at his feet. Some Elonian art portrays him with majestic lions or other predatory companions crouching beside him. A dervish taking the form of Balthazar is a fiery presence, assaulting the world with armour as resilient as heavy plate and a weapon as lethal as the deity's greatsword. Here we go. I was just talking to that guy who mentioned something about Vabi. And yeah, it was just pretty cool. Next, I'm going to be going to the place where they took out Kos, where we'll be finding the Acolyte of Grenth. So yeah, that's what Balthazar is really all about. I mean, you guys have seen it before. I feel a lot more comfortable talking about him. What's quite interesting about Balthazar is in factions, you can read this bit of scripture about like some ancient Canthan hero, and he beat Balthazar in a game of something. I can't remember what it was. I think it was just quite a simple game, or like he outsmarted Balthazar, and Balthazar actually turned around in a rage and like killed the guy. I believe. I think that's how the story goes. Which is probably the best example we have of the fact that these gods are not omniscient. They're not incredibly smart. They don't know everything, and they're very suspect to real human emotions, and they can be outsmarted and outthought. I think that definitely is the best example of that. You know, a lot of people do get the wrong impressions of the gods, but then you read about stuff like that, and it's like, oh well, they're just normal guys. But yeah, this is the scripture that I'm about to read out. If we were to find one of his shrines. For 4 weeks did the battle rage on, and those who had taken up the mantle of war grew wary, and their courage began to falter. Then did Balthazar, god of war and fire, appear to the soldiers, carrying with him a grand sword that did glow with such brilliance it blinded any who looked upon it. When he spoke, his voice was like thunder, and it shook the ground with force. Then saith he, Lift up thy weapons, for you are my soldiers, and you must be steadfast, strong, and brave of heart. They who neither hesitate nor stumble shall be rewarded. Then shall you have glory. Then shall your deeds be remembered for eternity. And then did release from his sword 100,000 flames, which encircled the soldiers. For this was the fire of courage, and forthwith did they follow the god into battle without fear or with hesitation. Thence was the enemy struck down. Balthazar's quite a cool god, I think, in that in this game, once you've become ascended or you've done specific things in the different plots, you can actually enter some of the realms of the gods. I think the original plan of ArenaNet was to do all of the realms of the gods, and even, you know, just a few years back they were talking about if they had the resources they would add realms for all of the gods. But as it stands, you can only enter 2 of these realms. Maybe we'll see some more in Guild Wars 2, who knows. These 2 realms were Balthazar's realm and Grenth's realm, and Balthazar's realm's like full of fire. It's called the Fissure of Woe. I'll be doing an episode on that sometime later, but basically there Balthazar is at war with his half brother Menzies, so that, you know, there's more examples that these guys are actually, you know, they even have families and stuff, which suggests that they age or used to age before they became gods, and they actually have histories like this. But yeah, he's at war with his half brother. Anyway, here's the garrison. This is where you find Grenth. He's quite easy to miss, I think, the Acolyte of Grenth, because he's just down on this dock. But yeah, this guy wasn't so hard to kill because we could just sneak in, and it wasn't a very long walk, I don't think. But yeah, there you go, guys. That's Balthazar just taking out Grenth here. Okay, guys. This episode, like I said, it was quite a long one. So what I'm going to do is split it. The second part is only going to be a reasonably short part, especially compared to this. But yeah, I'm going to split it in 2. Both are going to go up today. Don't worry about how long it's going to take us to get to Vabi and stuff. They will both go up today. And I hope to see you guys in part 2 if you care to join me.